Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Strange Normal. My name is Bradley. We talk about the stranger things that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what is going on. And there is a lot going on, a lot going on, because we've been doing a series this last couple weeks, actually for this week, and we will continue that series coming in the future. But we're going to go into a regular scheduled programming tonight because we got so much to cover. We've missed so much in this last week that it's time to cover current events, and it's time to cover the latest of what's happening. Part of that, if you don't know already, if you haven't been watching the live chat, we will definitely be going over to Rumble for the end of this show. So YouTube's not going to have the entire show tonight. So if you haven't found us on Rumble yet, strangenormal.org is the website, but it's also the Rumble name. So if you go to strangenormal.org, you will find us there. And we want you to find us there because the parts of this program we will not be able to air on YouTube because they'll kick us out because they have strict policies. And Rumble is less strict. So we are inviting you at the very end of the program to meet us there. And we'll put that in the chat and we'll mention this throughout the program as we go on. But before I get into the program, I'm going to introduce our guest tonight. Actually, you've known him for quite a while now, Mr. Matthew. How are you?
I'm doing well, Bradley, and I thank you for that. It's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad to be here on a Sunday evening. It seems like you've got a lot of stuff for us to go over. I was looking at the show outline, which you make available in the Discord. We got a little tab that says show outline for a little sneak peek, and I think also just for your own organization. And man, I was looking through it, and we've got a ton of stuff here, man. I'm excited to get into it.
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be an absolutely amazing show because we got so much packed in. There's some amazing finds that I got to add a little bit where a little bit's due to most of the Discord that's been giving us stuff, and also to a guy I follow on Facebook named Adrian. He's very active and he has a lot of stuff going on. And he's sometimes even in here, but I'm going to see if we can't get this rolling here because we got so much happening right now. Let me give you just a short grasp of what's happening tonight. Going into the Discord, I'll go to that channel you were talking about, the show outline, and we've got large sections. One's called In the News. We're going to talk about the news of what's happening tonight. That's everything from Burchett to Arrows kicking out Sean Patrick soon, and Biden distancing himself from the whole UAP thing, FBI agents finding secret labs, and the government apparently is created a new program for them to report stuff on Halloween. Imagine that. You can report demons on Halloween.
It's appropriate.
So, we're going to go into that a little bit. Then we're going to hit pop culture. So pop culture is talking about how Hollywood wants to disclose. This is the name of the episode tonight. Hollywood has created their own alliance. You know what day they did that? Halloween. Now they want to disclose demons on Halloween. Amazing. I mean, you can't write this stuff. And now,
there's an occult significance surrounding Halloween. I think that a lot of people know that. It's like at this point, it's like not even worth getting into. So many different channels, Christians in general, have just said, hey, look, Halloween, I know it looks cutesy, you get dressed up, you knock on some doors for candy, but the pagan origins can't be ignored. And the fact that, the occultists themselves do consider it a very important holy day. So to see official organizations using the day, and to see the celebrities using the day, I think it just says a lot as to where their allegiances lie. I just don't believe in coincidence.
Right. Yeah. There's something peculiar is happening here, and a lot of the UFO culture, the groups out there are like, oh, they're trying to sneak one past us on a holiday. Really? Anyway, I don't want to get too far into that because we're going to talk all about that in just a second. We're going to get in pop culture. Tom DeLonge, he's in the news again. He wants to know if we disobey them, if we're going to go extinct. Of course, that's huge propaganda. And Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell's wife, has admitted to some experiences. Then we're going to get into the history again of these, and after that, the experiences that were, I believe, absolutely true, because they are, according to everything I've read and everything I've seen, these are what actually happens, and you're going to want to know what that looks like. But the history is from News Nation, and they've done an excellent expose, starting, even going back further than the Nimitz, which is where starfallmovie.com, which is the documentary on this channel, where that started, and which started this channel. It goes back further, and it tells you back what happened, and further back a little bit further than that. So you're going to want to pay attention. This might be a long episode, depending on how much we gab, but it's going to be definitely worth it, and a lot of talking, because a lot of this is looking at different websites too. So, without further ado, do you have any comments before we get into that, Matthew?
I just need to know if Brad Pitt is going to be involved.
I saw that comment.
That thumbnail is really excellent.
I tell you.
I saw Brad Pitt. And, is he your clickbait, or is there some real Brad Pitt action going on?
I was trying to find. I typed in Mr. Hollywood into AI generator, and apparently he is Mr. Hollywood. So.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, fair enough. But there isn't any Brad Pitt, is what you're saying. Not yet. He hasn't made an official stance on.
I think he
UFO?
is the alien, to be honest, because he hasn't aged much, and I've wondered what in the world, what he's taken to keep himself so. Well, maybe he's finally getting a little older, but I've often wondered, every single movie I see him in, he still looks fairly young for how old he is. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe he is.
It's that black magic, Bradley. Just keep him youthful looking. It's an illusion. He doesn't actually look like that.
I guess. Let's get right into the news. I think that's appropriate, where we should start this whole thing. While I find all my buttons and gizmos here on the screen, let's try to do that. Let's go to Tim Burchett, who is trying his desperate hardest. The Tennessee senator is trying to get to the bottom of this stuff, and he just can't do it. Watch this.
But what are you learning about how they're going to release all this information? And is it meaningful, or is this basically, the kind of stuff that most people guess is there anyway?
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that part, because they haven't released much of the information yet. But the briefing today, Elizabeth, was interesting. I mean, this doesn't happen very often. AARO, which is the part of the Department of Defense mandated by Congress to look into UFOs, they had this briefing at the Pentagon. Reporters were there. We were able to listen in. We weren't allowed to record, but we could ask questions. And they revealed that they are now soliciting government workers and former government workers and contractors to actually come forward, come to their website, where they've created a form online where they can actually go on and register themselves if they are aware of a secret U.S. government UFO program or crash retrieval program, which is really sort of extraordinary.
That's what Grush is alleging.
The director,
Dr. Program.
Yeah, that is what he's alleging. Yeah, the timing is interesting after our exclusive. The director of AARO, his name's Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. He said today that he is not aware of any secret government program. He made that clear, but still, they're now taking the step on the government website to say, if you have any information, come forward, fill out the form, and they want to hear about it.
Well, Matthew, I don't think that had anything to do with what I said it was. So I don't know what order my clips are in. That's kind of worrisome. But I definitely...
You got so many that they've just started...
moving around by themselves, apparently. So that was interesting. Let's talk about that just for a second. I think a lot is going on right now. And the fact that they are trying to figure this out, and they're putting this in Congress, and they still can't figure it out. It tells me there's a lot more than just a little government cover-up going on. I think it's absolutely, as we have said, it's a demonic problem. It's an entity problem. And when they're trying to figure this out, it's got an intelligence behind it, which a lot of the UFO community kind of is clued in on. They say it's from a occultic background, and it has huge ties to the occult. So it's obvious to me what's happening. It's just a lot of other people haven't figured it out yet. And my worry is they won't figure that out until it's too late. So what do you think about that clip?
They can open up as many reporting things as they want. I don't think, at the end of the day, there are the groups behind the scenes who have knowledge of this. If anything, it's just kind of a formality thing. I feel like the government so often puts forth they like dangle a carrot for the community. But I think that the UAP community has been duped basically, or let down by the government so many times that it just doesn't have the same effect. It's like, yeah, whatever. There's a couple of people in the congressional sphere that they're rooting for. I think Tim Burchett at this point is kind of becoming more and more of a figurehead for the movement, along with people like David Grush and the other two gentlemen who were testifying before Congress. That has a lot more, I think, going for it in terms of public confidence and trust than anything that Arrow is putting out. I mean, Sean Kirkpatrick has not been a very effective head of Arrow at all. And I don't think anybody on either side is pleased with his performance.
No, and that's funny you should say that, because we have a site coming up here that's going to be kind of interesting. I'm going to bring that up in just a moment. As soon as I find my, what is it called? YouTube capture, desktop capture button here, because I think that we need to dig into that just a little bit further. And apparently I don't have it. Where is it? Hold on. We might have to cut this part out of the final show, so you guys are seeing the extra special parts where we are
the
digging
nitty
around.
gritty.
Yeah, there it is.
The raw.
I'm going to switch over to my screen here and kind of go to exactly what we need to look at here, because this is very important. Oh, and I cannot find it. Isn't that terrible? Live streaming and I can't find the button. There it is.
Hey, don't worry about it. We're all here for you.
All right.
Lending support.
All right. There we go. We're going to merge over to this. I'm going to cut this out right there. Let's go over to the exclusive. I mean, speaking of what you said, Matthew, right here, check this out. This article right here. Exclusive. Pentagon UFO Chief Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick will be replaced by the end of the year as whistleblowers accuse him of lying to the public and ignoring witnesses. Now, we kind of saw this coming, but I think it's interesting because he's been kind of pushed away from this idea for a while now. Even the government has kind of distanced themselves from what he's been saying. And if you don't know who Sean Kirkpatrick is, he is the head of Arrow, like Matthew said, I think a minute ago. Arrow is the anomalous something.
All domain anomaly resolution office.
Yeah, there you go. Matthew knows.
ARO.
And
well, I'm just reading it off of the article. It's right there. First
it's
bullet
right
point.
there in the. Look at all these ads, by the way. Are you hungry for pizza? My goodness.
I mean, if you weren't before.
Oh, it's all going away. Now, see, I don't even know. You come here to read an article, and all I want to read is this one little section right here, and I'm bombarded with all these ads.
That's why I have to go through every article. Whenever I do the Thursday show and I'm reading off of the articles, I go through and I crop everything out, and then I just have them in order, like slides. Because this is like a overload nightmare.
Yeah. So, This is what we're leaning on right now. Pentagon UFO Chief will resign by end of year amid a wave of complaints accusing him of making false statements about UFO whistleblowers and fostering an atmosphere of disinterest. Disinterest, yeah.
Disinterest.
Yeah. 4 main candidates have been interviewed. So we had all these interviews, right, that came out, and we know for a fact that they are at least under oath trying to say something, right? And I find it interesting that he is making snide remarks on Twitter and leading people to believe that this thing is absolutely There's nothing going on here. Nothing happening. Now, that's what the UFO community is saying. What I truly believe is happening here, he's probably under, and this is my surmising, I have nothing to base this on yet. I've been trying to find this, to be absolutely frank, but he's probably under one of those, the Christian individual leadership that is saying, squash it. We'll put you over this thing. You can have the money. Just squash it. We want nothing to do with this demonic presence. We don't want to go over this. And he's been trying his best to kind of squash it. So that's a theory I have, because that would just switch everything. Everything in the UFO community, all they're saying about him, they're trying to get him pushed out, and I think they're succeeding. Look at it from a different angle. Maybe he's actually doing the right thing. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know. Maybe he's lying about it, like the rest of the community says, or maybe he's actually on our side. I don't know. All I know is he's getting ejected because he has had these guys come about under oath saying that he's lying, basically. Here he is right here. Do you see him on the screen? It's this guy.
Yes, I do see him.
Yeah.
Well, we can't forget, it was Kirkpatrick. He did co-author like that essay about back in earlier this year in February. We had those anomalous shoot downs, and all of them weren't explained, but he was co-authored an essay, and there was a suggestion that the UAPs could be drones sent from a mothership, and he was actually involved in that. So as far as him being a Christian guy trying to quietly sweep it away because he knows it's demonic, I doubt that. I'm not in that camp. Maybe that's the case, but I don't think so. I think that he's probably more of a well, there's this is how I look at it. Two ideas. Either one, he's genuinely just incompetent at his job and can't really get any answers out of anything. He's getting stonewalled, and maybe he himself doesn't think that the government has anything. Or the second, which I think is much more likely, is that he's some type of a stooge put in, and he's being made to be a target that people get upset with, and then you can remove him and put in someone a little more extreme, and it just has this natural progression. I can't see Kirkpatrick really being on our side necessarily. I mean, I won't completely discount it, but from my standpoint, I just don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know if he's absolutely on our side, but I was wondering if, just like Lou Elizondo, maybe, that he was actually put in there by someone higher up, and the higher ups don't want to have anything to do with this stuff right now. So not him specifically. I mean, maybe he's just in there just trying to pretend to do his job like a stooge, like you said. But we know that there is higher ups up in the Pentagon that are Christian, that don't want anything to do with this thing, and rightly so, because of what we talk about on this channel. I don't know, and that I'm just going to leave that there, because I thought it would be an interesting thought, because who knows what's going on right now. All I know is if he gets ejected and someone else is in there that favors this idea, we could toboggan downhill very quickly, because they might actually get access to this stuff and show what we don't want them to show and talk to what they don't want them to talk to. That's my concern. But who knows? Who am I to say that? I'm adding right now, Matthew, that input to my screen so I can click on the thing like I should have done before the program, but it is ready now. So now we can go back to the screen cap here, like I can do. And so it says Biden administration distances itself from the Pentagon official who bashed UFO hearing. So who are they talking about here? Well, they're talking about Sean Kirkpatrick again. This was quite a while ago. This was in July. He got very upset because all these people came out and they all started talking about this stuff, saying this is a legit thing. These UFOs have been around a long time and we need to talk about it. And he's like, this is ludicrous. I can't believe these people are coming out, because they started saying we've sent stuff to Sean Kirkpatrick and we can't find him. He won't reply to us. And so he wrote a bunch of stuff saying that it's absolutely terrible what these people are lying about in here when they're not. They're not lying. It is very confusing, and we're here, Matthew, to make sense of it. But right now, we definitely have a lot happening. So I unless you have another idea, or any other comments on Mr. Sean Kirkpatrick leaving by the end of the year, I'm going to move on to this next clip or website.
Well, yeah, the administration, it said, is distancing themselves from Kirkpatrick, not necessarily distancing themselves from the UAP movement, right, or whatever investigations, which that to me says it's kind of like I just said before. I imagine that Kirkpatrick is going to go away, and you're going to have someone who's a little bit more hard-nosed about it and maybe has a little more public trust, or at least makes a little more of an effort with the disclosure. And just so that everybody is clear on this, I think, Brad, you'll probably agree with me that there will be no meaningful disclosure that ever comes out of the government. That there will be trickles and trickles and trickles, and it'll only be once something major, a major event happens that people see with their own eyes, capture with their phones, and they can't just play games anymore. That's the only point when they're going to come clean about anything. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. But I think it will be interesting to see what they choose to disclose and what they'll allow out, because I want to see even the government, and I think they are going that way, especially with that congressional hearing in June. That was big. Calling them non-human intelligences, not wanting to denote their origins. I mean, when they started saying stuff like that, I thought, okay, how much farther does the government need to go to say, this is a spiritual phenomenon? That's what I would like to see. Because if they ever say this is beyond our understanding of,
Yeah, and I think it's going that route too, because I mean, when these things appear, according to Roger Murnau, he says demon spirits will declare themselves to be inhabitants of far distant galaxies, coming to Earth to explain an impending destruction unless something proper is done to avoid it. I mean, when these things appear, they could appear in flesh and blood, because that's what we've seen happen. They could appear as all these things, but it's ultimately they want to be worshipped. And we've seen over and over again in media, especially that Netflix episode that has come out recently by Steven Spielberg, saying that, oh yeah, I think they're angels. We covered that just a few episodes ago. And he says, they're angels, and I'm so excited to hear what they have to say.
Was that Encounters? Is that what it was?
That was the Encounters.
Steven Spielberg is involved in that?
He is involved in it, from what I remember. He's him or his agency. I got to look that up again.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like maybe you did mention that. It just didn't sink in. Maybe we did talk about that. Yeah, well, yeah, Steven Spielberg, of course, just the amount of odd alien projects he's kind of worked on. Yeah, cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Yeah, this is interesting. So I should look at my notes to see what's next, but I've already shown the website, so I'm going to go back to the website real quick. Exclusive. FBI agents visit scientists building. This is from Daily Mail. This isn't from some kooky website. Alex Jones isn't putting this out. Although I'm not saying anything negative about Alex Jones if you go to his stuff. I'm just saying that this is mainstream. This is fascinating because it's in mainstream. FBI agents visit scientists building flying saucer at Falcon Space Lab in New Jersey and reveal they are part of the X-Files-like government UFO investigation. What? Mark Skoll, is that how you say that? Sokol, 35, told Daily Mail FBI agents showed up at his New Jersey lab last Friday, and they revealed that they had been tasked with investigating UFOs. Can you imagine? Hey, we're here to investigate the UFOs. Can you look at your lab? The scientist, the founder of Falcon Space Lab in Hawthorne, said the feds told them that they had received a tip about enriched uranium being used at the site. CCTV shared with DailyMail.com shows that 2 FBI agents flashed their badges and interviewing the inventor, as well as pacing outside with a Geiger counter. So that's this is the summary of their article. I'm not going to read the whole article to save time, but it's interesting that we have Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, the feds. They're out there. No, they're not here to figure out what your taxes and see who's paying taxes. They're here to catch the UFO hunters, to catch the UFO reverse engineering people. Where have we come, Matthew? What in the world is going on here?
Well, I think that this is like more of a stunt for the public's benefit, honestly, because if the FBI, I mean, they're making serious investigations into this, you're not going to have CCTV footage of them doing anything. They're going to come in and thoroughly scrub the whole site and be like, look, you know, this is serious business, instead of just kind of putting on a little show, walking around with Geiger counters. I mean, that's kind of silly to me. I think that an actual, I don't know, investigation from the FBI is going to be a lot more, it's kind of more intimidating too, a little more scary than just, hi, we want to ask you some questions and we don't mind if we're on camera, and that, you know, people write articles about this encounter. No, if it's something that they're serious about, you're not going to read any articles about the FBI coming to visit you. I mean, maybe you can tell your friends and family that they saw you, and you know, half of them will think you're crazy, but yeah. That to me says they are putting on a little bit of a public show, I think. And they want to stir up a little more controversy to say, oh, the federal agents are actually looking into this and they're taking it more seriously. Just kind of roping in the skeptics, I think.
Perhaps.
That's what
Perhaps. I'm not sure. I'm just
what do you think? Do you think the FBI would allow themselves to kind of be caught and exposed like this, or you know?
Well, I don't think it's the FBI reporting it to whatever it was, Daily Mail. I think the guy was like, hey, they came by and they said they wanted to try to find their UFOs, as if he maybe had them. I mean, maybe someone did had physical evidence, you know, physical deception that is happening right now. I don't know, but yeah, it makes me wonder. Remember that one FBI agent that we watched on Redacted, the Redacted show? He was a former FBI agent, and he got all his weird files. Man, what was his name? From the X-Files became his original. Became about because of his original.
Oh yeah, I
files.
remember that guy.
Yeah,
he was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was. It was very strange. But so I can see that they delve into this a little bit, but I don't know if they are so bold as to unscrub their CCTV cameras and all that stuff. But I don't know.
I'm just saying, if this was like a serious investigation, I think it would be like, we're here, we're getting answers out of you, and you are not going to talk to anybody, right? Kind of one of those things where it's like, it'd be a shame if someone came in here and shut your lab down. Such a nice looking lab. But that's not going to happen, is it? That's what I mean, they're intimidating whenever the government has nothing to mess around with. No. If you there's been some more publicized cases of people getting on the wrong side of government, and it doesn't turn out very well for them. So you have to wonder how many cases go unreported. You know, how many thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of cases where the federal agents come in and we never hear about it because they, you know, it's done under wraps. I think something like, if you were investigating labs for this stuff, that's why I'm saying I don't think you would be able to write an article. I don't think anyone would be able to go to them and say, hey, this happened with an FBI agent. I think they would just be, you know, coerced into not speaking about it.
Yeah. I don't know. You have your Bob Lazars and stuff like that. If he has a legit story, we're still out the window on that. Not sure what's going on there, but he was. Actually, we're going to get into that a little bit later. We're going to talk a little bit about his frustrations and how he was quite run over by a proverbial bus because of this whole thing. We'll see about that. But before we go there, let's table that just for a second because we got so many other topics. This was actually the original topic that came up when we first played the first video. I'm going to go back to the website that was created for military disclosure for a second because I think it's interesting. One of the people that every now and then pops up in my feed is Christina Gomez, and she is a bona fide New Age New Ager that talks about, well, New Ager. She does a lot of Eastern meditation stuff, but she is a UFO reporter. And one of the things she brought out was this thing came out on Halloween. Well, watch what she says about this.
This took way too long. After much anticipation and previous inquiries by the government back in April, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, has officially launched a new reporting system for UFOs. Although the website has been operational since early September, the formal launch to report your UFO sighting took place October 31st, coincidentally on Halloween. The system, however, is not open to the general public, but is exclusively for current or formal federal employees, military personnel, and contractors, particularly those with direct knowledge of alleged U.S. government programs concerning UAP. This took way too long, and why launch it on a holiday? This isn't the first time we've seen them do something so sneaky. Previous UAP reports have been launched on late Friday evenings and during the holidays before, publishing when nobody's looking. Why do you think that is?
Well,
that's not exclusive to UAP. I'm huge.
Let me fix that.
Hello,
there we go.
little Bradley. Oh, I'm back to normal. That's nothing new, Christina.
I know. The government does it all the time
on Fridays and holidays all the time. It could be like an economic report. It could be some type of a corruption scandal. That's just standard practice. But it is. I mean, okay, following that pattern, right? If important things that they want to keep out of the public eye and they kind of want it to be released in a very subtle manner, if they do that with other things, and we know there's a history of that, and they're doing it with UAP, then we know UAP must be kind of on the same level as those other scandalous things. So right. I guess them actually releasing it kind of surreptitiously lends a little more credence to there's something going on here rather than just putting it out.
Right. There's an agenda. And I think, I just think there's just too much weird stuff happening that it has to be released on Halloween. What in the world? And she's like, well, I'm not knocking Christina for this. I'm just knocking the actual government for not putting it out on Halloween. I don't care if you release it on a holiday on Christmas Eve, but why Halloween? Why Halloween? But okay, enough of that. Let's go to the other Halloween thing. This blew my mind, and I think the implications for this Halloween thing is remarkable. So we're going to talk about the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, the HDA, because everyone likes an acronym. This domain. So let me pull this up real quick before I go into the whole my thoughts on this. That's the sound it makes when I hit that button. This is www.hollywooddisclosurealliance.org. So you think, some random silly person probably put this up. No. So let's read this real quick. The goal of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance is to provide a more unified voice in the media leading up to and following the impending revelation of the presence of extraterrestrial life. Disclosure. Through storytelling in feature films, documentaries, and TV programming, we are a media-centric resource, teaming with those actively working within the research side of UAP-ET, with those actively working as storytellers. Now listen to this. Listen to the mission here. Since the dawn of the motion picture age, over 600 feature films have been produced depicting aliens and flying saucers. We talk about this in Starfall. Those films have generated tens of billions of dollars in global box office receipts. These films, all based on fiction, remain wildly popular. Okay, fiction, right? Listen what they say next. We imagine the day when they can be based on fact. By bringing UAP-ET researchers, authors, and experiencers together with content creators working across every aspect of the globe entertainment spectrum, HDA, there's the acronym, is positioned to become the go-to organization to close a long-standing gap created by government-imposed truth embargo. Okay, so then they go into a quote by, who is Robbie Graham? Okay, so the effort of the HDA, which has been established to serve as a content connector, will help to empower the general public through accuracy and storytelling. So they're trying to say, okay, we think we know what's going on here, and we want to make sure when these things get here, we are telling the exact truth of what's going on. And somewhere in here, I read the actual people behind this whole thing, and I was shocked. Let me see if I can find it again. What do you think about this while I'm trying to find that, Matthew?
I think that the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance is coming in a little late to the party here because everything that they described has already been happening. And they said that over 600 films, all based on fiction. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that the directors themselves of some of these projects have said, I did extensive research into it. I mean, Steven Spielberg is one of those people, and you saw it listed there.
Daniel Sheehan.
Oh, hey, buddy. It's a Jesuit. Who would have thought? Who would have thought they'd have a Jesuit on the board? Okay. Wait, go up. Let's see some more of these people. Let's get a little... Jeff Stein. I feel like I remember that name sounds familiar, right? People have talked about him. No, don't really. Paul Hynek. I feel like that name I've heard before. Yeah. Okay.
This is just the board, though. This isn't who actually was talking.
Yeah, who are the Hollywood stars
that
are behind this? Who are my producers, my actors? Okay.
Let's see who they are here.
Just
actress, actor, screenwriter, music. So, I'm not too big.
Are we even looking at D-list celebrities here? Is this like the the G-list celebrities? Cause
let's see.
I don't really recognize any of these people. I mean, maybe somebody. Does anybody know
supporting members? Who
these people are?
Because I read an article and they had a bunch of names in it that was like.
Go to the affiliated organizations tab. Let's see, because let's see if like
MUFON.
To the stars is here or something. MUFON, what are you doing here? MUFON Television.
Never heard of
They
that.
have their own television division.
I'll see if I can find that article that has a list of the people I recognized, but I was just shocked when I saw it.
Is it
Tom Dasher, Richard Dolan? Hey, I recognize this guy. He's the UFO reporter. He's not actually in Hollywood. So this looks like a bunch of Hollywood or a bunch of reporters that are trying to get Hollywood to get on the same page as.
Yeah, they said they're going to act as like some type of a board. You're gonna you're gonna have what? Hollywood's gonna pass their scripts along to these guys, and they're gonna sit there and say, "Oh no." It's like that one. Remember what was it called? Darkened Skies or something like that. What was the name of that show?
Yeah.
Anyway, It was like a premiere party they were doing, and the guy came up, and it was like either a possessed person or some type of a demon, and it was like, "You're portraying the possession all wrong. It's not like that. We want it to be a little more accurate." So these people are just going to be doing the job. You're going to have to pass your scripts through them, and they're going to say, "Oh no, it's not really like this. It's more like this." And then you have to wonder, what authority do you carry? Where do you get the standards that you're going to put the scripts and the productions up against? What kind of knowledge do you have? Because if all of this stuff is just based off of fiction, as I said before, is there any truth to anything that's been put out? I think there is. I think it's propaganda. I think that's pretty obvious. That
I think that's why this is created.
Well, it's like why is it's kind of redundant because it's already happening, is what I'm saying. It's you don't necessarily need this board of people. I think they're just trying to like muscle in and
here's the board. I mean, this is what really amazed me. So founded by, this is from Deadline, and this is talking about the website. It said founded and created by Dan Harari. Is that how you say that? A veteran Hollywood publicist, and Stephen Bassett, founder of Washington, D.C.'s Paradigm Research Group. The group's launched in November 2. Haven't heard of those. The board of directors includes Sean, TV producer for Nip Tuck, Law and Order, Suits, and Project Blue Book TV series. Okay, I have heard of those. Jeff Stein, music video director. Okay, he's in it twice now. Music and video. That's the producer who has worked with The Who, The Cars, Tom
These are a bunch of old acts.
Yeah,
this guy hasn't done a music video. Hasn't done a music video since like the late 70s, early 80s.
Emmy Award winner, We Are Not Alone. Okay, that looks like straight to Amazon.
Here we go.
Movie.
Look, Earl Grey Anderson, and we're not talking the tea here, folks. We're talking MUFON. There we go. You gotta get in touch with your MUFON contacts and ask about that. What's he doing? Hanging out in there. What's he trying to do?
Interesting. So I think what we're going to see is organizations like this grow and grow further and further as things progress. But I had to dig into this just a little bit because I was like, when did this start? And how long has this been growing? So this is a Who Is lookup because I'm a nerd and I decided to look, what is the public information about this site? Well, you can get that through Who Is. You used to be able to do it a lot better before they started putting everything on privacy. See, that says registration private, so you can't see it, who registered it. But you can see that the creation date right here is, what is that? January, February, March, April, May, June.
That'll be June.
Yeah, June 26th. And
so this year,
somewhere at night,
6 o'clock,
Zulu, they
yeah.
I don't know. I can't translate that in my head.
6:48 p.m.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
6:48 Zulu though, so that's like if they were on the other side of the world in the Greenwich Mean Time. But anyway, they created this thing 6 months ago. According to the what's it called, the archive.org, it tells you exactly when the website went live and stuff like that. What was fascinating to me is that the whole thing started on Halloween. And so it's just unique to me that that's starting on Halloween. There's got to be something to that. Now, although they say that they didn't start this until yesterday or the day before last, I forget which, the website was activated on Halloween. So there's something to that. That's all I wanted to say about that right there. But there's more to come.
I'm glad we took a peek.
Yeah, so we're going to keep our eyes peeled on this thing and here's my notes. It says created in June, website October 31, and launched on November 2. And
this is the outline, people. You're getting to really see the behind-the-scenes stuff here.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the outline I was talking about earlier. This is like...
I'm not letting you see behind the scenes anymore.
Let me just take you back behind the curtain for a minute. Here's all the gears and the levers.
I forgot I was sharing my screen. I was looking at my notes here. Yeah, so up next we got Tom DeLonge wondering if civilizations were extinct for disobeying him. I want to dig into that real quick. Because Tom says some wild and crazy things, but he has an agenda behind him, as we have learned. So we're still in the news, kind of in the pop culture news right now, trying to keep up on what's happening, so that although we're not specifically going along the strange normal lines of what is happening in the religious realm, we have to understand what's happening in this realm, because the whole thing is religious. Hey, keep up on it so we know what's happening, and then we'll tie it together in a moment, because there's lots happening in just a moment. But check this out, Matthew. So Tom DeLonge wonders if civilizations went extinct for disobeying aliens. Now, what do we know? And I believe what Roger Monroe says is probably going to happen. And so they say, hey, we've come to Earth to tell you about an impending destruction unless something proper is done to avoid it. Well, what happens if you disobey them? Well, you get destroyed. I think we're going to see things come to fruition like that. So let's read this together. Blink-182, star Tom DeLonge, has suggested that ancient civilizations could have been wiped out for angering alien life forms through disobedience. Over the years, the musician, 47, has become a prominent voice in ufology. So I'm going to skip down. Because we already know his history and what he's done.
This is already sending off alarms in my head. Is it sending off alarms in your head, Brad?
Mm-hmm.
Some biblical connections you're seeing here?
Mm-hmm.
I certainly am. Continue, please. This is interesting.
It's interesting. Tom DeLonge told Newsweek that while he's passionate about studying unidentified flying objects, UFOs, UAPs, actually what the government calls them now, or advanced aerial threats, he believes that the life forms operating them likely have sinister intentions when it comes to the well-being of humans. Huh? Really? You don't say? Addressing why aliens aren't a visual part of everyday life at this point, the star said. All I can do is ask questions on things that I feel strongly about. And some conversations that I've had that really make me feel things and think a certain way. Now watch this. But I think on one hand, it is not knowing how to defend against it because we don't totally understand it. There's also the side that the other side that could be reluctant to want us to know that they're here because of what they're doing is not good. Tom, you're getting on to something here. And if we, this is where I'm like, wow, where are you going? I can't believe you left planet Earth on this one. If we were to just come out and say, hey, it's all here, we don't know what kind of response that's going to provoke. Are they going to do something that's horrible? I had one person tell me they wonder if extinct civilizations are evidence of those who didn't obey. Like, you don't know. He has a weird way of talking, and I'm stumbling over his words. He's surmising here. He's just guessing, but he's guessing from all the UFO literature that he's probably read from years and years of studying this silly phenomenon that is developed by demonic entities. What do you think about this so far, Matthew?
Well, right off the bat, what I think about is ancient civilizations being wiped out because of disobedience. I mean, we could just go to Genesis, can't we? We could just go to the antediluvian world, and God wiped out life on Earth, save that which was in the ark, because of disobedience, because everybody became so wicked and their imaginations were just consumed by evil. And now we have these ufologists saying that, yeah, there were ancient civilizations and they were wiped out. It's funny that this article, when was this article released? Do you know when this article was released? Let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, so 3. Pretty recently. Yeah, 2 days ago. There's a really popular channel we've mentioned before, which I think is gearing up to be pretty influential in its own right, but it's the Y-Files. And the Y-Files guy, he just released like a weird video talking about ancient civilizations that were more advanced than we give them credit for, and that they were all wiped out by basically a cataclysmic event. I think that more people are kind of waking up to the idea that, yeah, the fact that all of the different civilizations have this idea of a flood, they don't all obviously get them accurate. I think that the Bible's the only place you can find an accurate account of that. What is really the differentiation between the Bible and the rest of the world's account is that all the other cultures talk about the time before the flood as something that was really good, a golden age, that technology was so advanced, and yes, there were wars and big clashes and that type of a thing, but essentially humanity was on another level. And the Bible is the one that just says, no, humanity wasn't on another level. It actually degraded. And it doesn't necessarily make mention of that high technology, but I have to imagine that these beings who are capable of living for hundreds of years, and I do think they had a higher intellect than we do. I just go back, rewind the clock a couple hundred years. Those people had very sharp minds and memories, and they were capable of doing things mechanically that really we have no hope of doing unless we have technology back.
Calculators.
I think speaking for myself, my memory sometimes is worse than that of a goldfish. It's because I've been bombarded with everything. The culture today, sometimes you turn around and you're just like, what was I doing? Oh yeah, like why did I come downstairs? Like that shouldn't be a thought, right? I think human beings should be a little more aware of what's going on, but we can't really help it. I think we've been degenerated and degraded, and now we just see them coming out and saying that they're being wiped out for disobedience. That means in order for them to be wiped out for disobedience, there had to be some contact, right? There had to be, I guess, rules that were laid down.
That's what he's trying to say.
Because how can you? I'm sorry. I just want to say, how can you be disobedient if you don't know like what the rules are? If you don't know what the rules are, you're just ignorant to them, and you're just doing whatever you're doing. But disobedience implies there was something laid out that humanity went against and then needed to be punished for going against the agenda.
So yeah, and so it's always the flip the flipping around, the Gnosticism that we're fighting against in this story. And so the Gnosticism is that God is the bad guy, and all these demonic entities that are appearing to people are the good guy. And so what this is probably saying, what he's pulling off of, what Tom is trying to pull off of from all his previous readings and knowledge of this UFO cult, is that, oh, look, absolutely, if we don't do the right thing, maybe we'll be God smacked, for lack of a better word. So because that's where we see this is going. All the we read about the raw files, RA files, or raw material. That's what it was, raw material. Yeah. And it was a channeled book, and in that channeled book, they say that there is this God out there that is coming back as an alien, and he made the Ten Commandments, and he will destroy you. He's coming from the Orion sector. That's what they say. This occult channeled book, and that was fascinating because they flipped the script. There will be a second coming, and there will be a destruction by his brightness, according to the Bible. And the ones that don't follow the rules, not that you get to be saved by the rules, but that you don't have that relationship with God, you won't be a loving person, manifested exactly by the works that you do. Revelation does say you were judged by works. So I think, although I'm not saying that you were saved by works, this is very confusing. Let me try to pull this out a little bit, because this is important that we understand this. When you are married, or when you are in a relationship, let's say you are the man and you have a girl, and the girl is like at home or at her home, and you say, "Hi, man, I wish I could bring her flowers." That is a work, right? Are you going to get her flowers because you are trying to make her love you? That would be relationship by works. But are you going to, because you love the person, you go get flowers and you give them to her? That would be a true loving relationship. And out of that comes works, just because, faith without works is dead. That's what Paul says. So I think it's interesting that we get this so confused, because even though Revelation says that you are saved by, you are not saved by works, you are judged by works. It's because the rest of the universe is looking and saying, look, this guy, he doesn't have the right mindset, love, and he isn't doing the right thing, so he is automatically judged by that. Now that's important to know, because there will be things at the end of time. Our relationship with God is what ultimately decides our fate. And I think we're all speaking the same language here from two different sides. That's where I'm going with this. You understand what I'm saying, Matthew?
I think so, Brad. I think you're making your point.
Do you have any comments on that before I move on?
Just that Tom DeLonge is a Freemason, and pretty much anything Tom DeLonge says, I take with not a pinch of salt, but a whole mound of salt just heaped on top of it. And I do think he falls under the category of deceived, and not only that, but actively deceiving. He's compared aliens to demons, and now he's saying they're flying around with bad intentions. Obviously, he has an idea that there's a bad cop element to the phenomenon, and it just begs the question, because if he's involved with secret societies and all of this weird stuff, and not only that, he's involved with secret societies, and I'm guessing that kind of made him the connections to talk to these ex CIA people or whatever. The guy's connected. He knows more than he lets on.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. He's pushing an agenda.
Yeah, he's leaking.
But I just think it's funny that every once in a while they come out with something and it's like, well, you're not entirely wrong about that, but still it's twisted.
So not only is and we're in the pop culture section right now. We've gone through the news. We're in the pop culture. Next, we're going to do history and experiences that will be aired only on Rumble. So if you haven't found the channel on Rumble yet, go to rumble.com. Type in Strange Normal, DOTORG, strangenormal.org. You will find it, and you can watch us. We're live there right now too. And so I'm going to click off of YouTube here pretty soon, but we're going to go through one more site and talk a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about switching over to Rumble. We're doing that because YouTube is very picky about what we talk about, copyrights and all this other stuff. And so we're going to go over to Rumble to talk about a little bit more of this stuff, and to also increase subscribers to that area, because who knows? You don't know what's going to happen to YouTube someday.
Make sure that you drop the link in the live chat, and afterwards, let's make sure that you do a pinned comment. Do a pinned comment in the comment section with that link, just so that people who are watching after the fact can access the material.
Absolutely. All right. So check this out. One more thing here. Let's go to Goldie Hawn. Goldie, you know who this is? This is interesting to me. Goldie Hawn. She is Kurt Russell's wife. Mm-hmm. You know who Kurt Russell is. He was the original Stargate guy.
Yeah,
Stargate
I think she
movie.
she was an actress in her own right as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm seeing that she was.
So Goldie Hawn claims to have experienced a unique moment with aliens, but sounds a little suspect. This is what the site says. Of course, they got to say that to sound more legit. This is what she said, though. So this is interesting. Hawn, who has been with Kurt Russell for decades, has been famous in Hollywood since the 60s. Near the top of the list of her life experiences is apparently that all aliens also... Whoa, don't go there. What are you doing? Okay. Apparently, love her. Yeah, you read that sentence.
I love.
Now, what kind of experience did Hawn have with aliens? Sinister, creepy? Not at all. That was a time when, there was a lot of UFO sightings. This is her talking, apparently. I remember this so clearly. I went outside my door, and I sat on the little ledge, and I looked up at the dark sky, and I saw all these little stars. All I could think was, how far does this go? How little are we? Well, we've all done that. Are we the only planet in the whole universe that has life on it? Man, why is that always the first question? Okay, Hawn explained on Apple Fitness, Time to Walk, according to Newsweek. She further added, I know you're out there. I know we're not alone, and I would like to meet you one day.
Ooh, a kind of a prayer.
I know.
Just out there, just
kind of.
Hey, out there.
It reminds me of Bledsoe, right? Bledsoe guy.
Yeah, it's Bledsoe, and it's not only that. There's a lot of you read people's testimonies, and they're not necessarily Christian testimonies, but it does become something like that. I mean, even so, Matthew Perry died recently, and there's been a big stir about that because he released a book before he had died, and he talks about this prayer that he had where he got down and he said, God, I know you're there and you're listening. Make me famous. You could do whatever you want with me, but just make me famous. And you have to ask, is that a Christian prayer, or are you reaching out to another sort of entity? I think we all know what it is. Obviously, he's making a deal with the devil, a pact with the devil. But then he goes on to say, there's a second time that I actually prayed, and it was when I had substance abuse, and I prayed about getting clean, and then it happened. And it's like, so they can give you, it's the yin and the yang. They want to be the dark and the light. It's like, we can give you whatever it is you want, as long as you're not going to God for it. If you don't go to God for it, then we'll give you whatever you want. But there are things that they can't offer, and that's salvation. That's eternal life. They cannot give that to you, but they can deceive you into believing that. So it looks like Goldie Hawn is probably in that category.
I think so too, and I also think I want to add a little bit to what you said there, because I think it's interesting that we're seeing, just like you said. I did a video about a Satanist that thought he saw Christ one time. And I forget his name. He was bona fide what he believed was Satanism, and then all of a sudden he was doing a ritual. Do you remember this? He was doing a ritual to try to be a better Satanist and
no, it wasn't that.
People.
It wasn't that. You always get stumbled on this, Brad. I got to correct you. He was doing a ritual to get in contact with a demon. That's what he said the ritual was.
Yeah, but he was trying to also, I've done the research on this, he was absolutely trying to be a better evangelist for Satanism. And maybe he was trying
with the help of a demon.
Yeah,
he wanted the main purpose was to get a demon in contact with him. And that's the whole. Well, it's an important point to mention, because then he says, "Yeah, I was doing this ritual to bring myself into communion with a demon, and then Jesus showed up." Hello.
So that's further evidence right there that these things can appear as anything. But one question came up, and I remember in the chat when I was doing this live stream or something, they said, "Well, if you pray to God, can Satan override that?" No, but it depends on what character your prayers are. Like, you can pray and you can call God whatever name you want, because maybe you're a different language, maybe you're whatever, but who are you actually trying to contact? God is further than just language. I mean, these things speak further than, they don't just go, well, he said God, so I guess it's you, now you go down there. That's not how it operates. If you have a character that you want something else, and you can't pray and say, God, I wish to sleep with a woman one night. You're not praying to God for that. That's not God that's going to answer you. You might have someone answer you, but it won't be God, because that's not the character. You're not praying the right character.
Yes. And good point.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, perfect sense, because praying in Jesus' name, it means that we are also praying in his character too. And that's why I always like to use that, even on the last broadcast on this last Thursday, talking about how we're meant to pray like Jesus said when he said, not my will, but yours be done. That's the type of prayers we need to have, because ultimately, if you're praying for something that doesn't align with the will of God, especially if you know explicitly, like what you're saying here, and making an idol of yourself or of fame or whatever it is, if you start praying for those things, that's not going to be God that answers you. Right. The devil's going to be there. And there's a difference between saying, okay, Lord, I need a house, I need a place to live, please help me. But ultimately, I have these plans and I want to have this specific situation play out, but I want whatever it is that you want for me to happen. And please help me to understand what you want for me and to accept humbly what you want for me. Because I've had that situation happen before where I prayed for a specific instance, but I'm always careful to say, but Lord, ultimately your will be done. I'm expressing what I want out of this, because Jesus even said you have to ask and you'll receive. Mm-hmm. And he knows what you need and what you want to ask before you even ask it. But it's up to us to come as children to a father and say, Father, this is what I desire. However, I know that my desires are not perfect. Mm-hmm. And you have the perfect will. You have the perfect plan. And that is what I want to be enacted. But I'm allowed to just essentially air whatever's on my heart and say, this is what I would like to happen. And then in accordance with your will. Very important. And to be humble and to accept whatever God does for you.
Right. Absolutely. So I we kind of got off track there, but I think it was a very important point. I want to focus real quick on this. This is what she said. This is the girl we're talking about, and this is apparently Kurt Russell, which I don't recognize anymore. That looks like a rock star to me. But he says, the aliens touched me, and I felt like the finger of God. This is
Goldie Hawn, though.
Yeah,
right here.
Yeah, Goldie Hawn, not Kurt Russell. It was the most benevolent, loving feeling. It was powerful. It was filled with light. The star actress explained. Do you notice any, Matthew, do you notice any connections here? I mean, we see this all the time. There's specific things that are stated when these kind of experiences happen. Mm-hmm. You have a feeling of love. It feels like a supernatural experience, maybe with God or something like that. It was felt benevolent, right? There's no mention of the actual character of what's going on. So these things are playing
other than just the love, other than that overwhelming feeling of love. And yeah, I think that sad as it is, people are capable of loving Satan in the way that they should love God. On the last broadcast, I had mentioned that the Pope said that there are many images of God, and some of them contradict with the Christian face of God. But the image of God is always love. And I think even in the comments, I read one comment that said they brought up the scripture. I think it's from one of John's letters that said God is love. And I agree. Yes, that's what the scriptures say. God is love. But God is not only love, because we have to look. God is truth. God is justice. God has mercy. There's many character aspects that come in with God, but it doesn't go full stop at love. Because if we just had God as love and that's it, it's just love, nothing else, we have to reconcile that with, well, what about the justice that has to be dealt? We have a just God, and of course he loves people, he loves all, but there is a punishment that's dealt out to unrepentant sinners. And that's why God doesn't want any to perish, but he calls all to repentance.
Yeah.
There is love there, but at the end of the day, love is loving you enough to let you have the will to choose against him, but there's still a consequence for choosing against him. You're going against the God of life. Can you have life if you're going to willfully go against him? No, you can't. It's just, there are consequences for every action that's taken. And Goldie Hawn, having the loving experience, that's one thing. But just speaking as when I came to Jesus, yes, there was love involved, but I repented and I wept in repentance. I felt awful and convicted in sin. And I knew in the moment when I was calling out to be saved by Jesus Christ that I needed him. I needed salvation, because nothing about me was worthy of entering in through the gates of heaven. So it's not all, I don't know, this benevolent, amazing, like ecstasy feeling of love, because even Jesus demonstrated what true love looks like, and he showed it in agony, in suffering, and in death, but he did it all in love.
Right.
And it didn't look like what these people are describing.
Right. 100%. Absolutely. And so I think we need to pay attention to the characteristics that are appearing here. And if it is a feeling that you're feeling, it's not necessarily the Bible. That's not one of the testing points that the Bible uses to figure out these things are actually truth or not, like you said. So I think that's fascinating. This is the point in the show. We probably got another 45 minutes. We're going to go into the history of this stuff. We've got at least a 20 minutes amount of clips. Usually I have 20 minutes of clips just for the show. We got another 20 minutes coming up here of clips. And we're going to go into the history. This is really fascinating stuff, because we're going to dive deep into Lazar. We're going to get into George Knapp. Oh, I forgot that clip. Anyway, but I'm going to explain that in a second here. We're going to use that to talk a little bit further. Then we're going to get into an experience from a lieutenant colonel commander of the Space Force who recently left the Space Force. And this is recent stuff, because the Space Force is a recent thing. And he's going to talk a little bit about his experience. His name is Matthew O'Meyer. Yeah, he recently was on another podcast. And very interesting, because it's very similar to what we've already been talking about. But the reason why we're going to be shutting off YouTube is because YouTube can't handle us. So make sure you get over there. I'm going to put this into the chat right now. We've already got 92. Let's see, what is it now? 98 watching on Rumble, and we are at. And
that number's going up.
Yeah,
the audience is a little split tonight.
Yeah,
which is cool, because people are just going over onto the Rumble, which we all need to migrate to the Rumble. Before we do, though, I think you got a super chat here.
Yes.
You might want to acknowledge.
Yes, Meredith, thank you so much. She said, Strange Normal Family, please hit that like button. And she's right. Hit that like button before you go. And let's get the truth out there to all, because we need to talk about this.
Hit like on all the platforms. That's YouTube, that's right. Rumble. Where else are we streaming? Is it just YouTube and Rumble?
Yeah, just YouTube and Rumble. And right now we're just streaming to YouTube and Rumble. There's dwindling from 103 down to 96 on YouTube right now, and we're jumping. We're going up on Rumble, almost hitting 3 digits. Jump. So here we go, friends. Join us on Rumble. I'm gonna put that into the chat, and I'll have it on a what's it called? A pinned comment once this is archived.
If you're watching it post show, if you're watching the recording, just scroll on down to the comments section, hit that pinned comment. That's what's gonna do. It's gonna take you right to us. We're gonna keep it rolling on the other side.
Okay. And we are. See you later, YouTube. Bye-bye.
Bye, YouTube. Miss